Hey guys, today is November the 6th of 2017. I wanted to do a recap of the instruments I'm seeing on the markets and maybe a little mini educational part. So please pause the video and read the video disclaimer. Let's start out first with uranium. It's a sector I'm watching, and this is the uranium futures. It's just kind of in this channel, just chopping along. There's a low that the ETF URA made on October the 30th. That's a very good, could be a possible swing low. Let me say that right. But the date I'm watching for forecasted low is going to be November the 15th. Using a price and time technique of Gann. And it may pan out, it may not. I'm just putting it out there. But the October low looks good too. There's reasons to believe that, it could lean towards there too. So I just want to put that out there. Let's see. Let's look at URA real quick. Since we're on URA, we're doing a recap. So this is the October low of URA as of now, which is 1183, and it's kind of dancing around here. I have a forecast of the 15th, which would be somewhere about right here, and price range between maybe this is not the chart I used, but it's going to be somewhere around the 60ish around level around there, 1174. 1163, somewhere around there. I think the could be a possible low on that day of the 15th. So keep an eye on that. I probably won't be making a video for a while. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna be involved in a project, so it's gonna take some time. So I'll just leave you with that. Watch URA, and if it does a swing low on the 15th, and volume picks in, and it just shows some momentum, that could be an indication that, I was right. The calculations panned out. If it continues pushing lower, then the forecast is void, and you just got to step back because maybe it wants to go lower. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's go to Euro. Let's see where we're at with the Euro. On the Euro, I went short on the 25th of September, and I picked the low. If you looked at my past videos, you already know. The low that I got in was 1831, and that's because I was thinking on the next day we were going to go and maybe test that 50% level, which is at 1883. It never went up there. So I was like, if it doesn't get up there and it just pushes lower, I'm going to at least get in. It was very crucial. This was the timing right here to get in. And I'll talk about that a little later. But that was the timing. And you can see that from here, it came down, went back up, went even higher, and failed the 50, went back down, came up twice. Sellers came in pushing. Try to do it again. Sellers really came in and hit the bulls with a kitchen sink and knocked them all down here. And it was just kind of consolidating back and forth. It was kind of retail buyers back and forth, back and forth. And after one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 6 or 7 days, they pushed it lower, and this is where we're at. If you look, we failed this angle right here. This is the 45 degree, the dotted green line. So it could probably find support and maybe kiss this level right here between the 400 right here. So, but I'm trailing my stop. I'm not putting any price targets. I'm just trailing it. I think this is for now temporarily swing pivot high. I haven't done my calculations to see how far it could go down. I'll probably do that when I have some time. But as of right now, I got so much going on. I just trailing my stop, giving it enough leadway so it could chop around and do what it want, do what it want to do. But it's gonna go lower. What else I'm watching? That's where we're at now on the euro. Let's watch GE. They call it the dog at the Dow. The dog, and the one is the ugly duckly. So as you can see right now, price action, we put a low of November 2nd. November 2nd looks very promising. I was doing some calculations. How can I say this? Over the weekend. And there's a lot of clustering showing up on November 2nd. But I wasn't too confident to make a video and say this could be the swing low. But it's very promising. It could go lower, but there's a few things that are lining up that shows there's a kind of vibrational, could be a low. I don't know what kind of, I'm trying to find the perfect name to call it, but it's not like I'm gonna bet my house on it. But it's interesting. So watch this November low, second low. If this swing low doesn't hold, it pushes. It's probably going to push lower. Then another thing about GE, you got to watch out on November the 13th, I think, or close to it, that week. The CEO is going to make an announcement. So there's a lot of investors that are kind of spooked because they think that GE is going to cut their dividend enough, in half, or I don't know how much they're going to cut, but they're going to cut it, enough where they could, because they're not making money, they're losing, and it's kind of tough there. So if that happens, then prices could even shoot lower, which is good because then you could get in at a better price. So I'll just leave it at that because I'm just kind of still working. GE is kind of a little harder. You got that swing high that they made at July the 20th of 2016 at the price of 33, and it just kept going down, and now it's at 19. So I'm trying to forecast and see where does it make sense. WD Gann said never try to get into a stock or a currency or anything if you can't mathematically, justify the reason why you're getting in. If you don't have a sound reason to get in, then you shouldn't get in. And that's where I'm at right here. I had a sound reason to get in at a euro and short it at this price right here at this level and this time. There was a mathematical reason to get in here to short. And you know what? It didn't go all the way down. It came back up. And as an investor, you would have been like, oh man, wrong timing. No, that's where you have your stop. You put your stop. This is how much I'm going to risk to bet that if my calculations are correct, it's going to trend lower. If I'm wrong, which happens, you work on your way to get better, but sometimes you're going to get some hiccups and you're going to go wrong, and you're like, man, I must have missed something, or I didn't see this, or I didn't see that, and then it just shoots up and it does a retest. It faked out all the bears, and it goes all the way up here, and then fails. And then goes, so your timing then was wrong, so then you have to get back in again. So you have to have that psychology behind, trading too. But you always have to put your stop and say all right, I'm getting in there and I think this is a short-term top and I'm going to put my stop somewhere, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's it. This is my risk. And then take it from there. And it just happens to be that it retraced and just pushed lower, and this is where it's at right now. So that's GE. What else I'm watching? I think that was it for now. Oh, the indices. My last video I did was on the indices. So I did a video, my last video, saying that it could be a possible top. WD Gann had a thing of 10-year cycles, and on the NASDAQ, November 1st, it was a 10-year right there to the day. So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm going to make this video short, this is probably my last part of my chart, is that sometimes cycles, they kind of work like this. So this is a 10-year cycle, And sometimes when the 10-year cycle hits, it hits right on the day, and then it shoots down and just turns like a dime. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the times, sometimes that pans out. But sometimes the cycle hits on the day, and then you get like a ripple effect. It's like when you throw a rock in the water, you get these waves, and it just created that. And sometimes it just takes a while. It's like it kicked in, but now the wave is going, and then it's eventually going to turn. And that's what I'm watching here now. But W.D. Gann said also sometimes the 10-year cycle hits, and this bad boy continues pushing higher. And he said to the extreme, sometimes 11 years. So it overextends itself. So it's never around the money. So you always have to consider that also. That even though the 10-year, the 7-year, you had a 20-year, they hit on the day, and you're thinking, yeah, I remember when I was studying Gann, and I was like, yeah, man, there's a seasonal. He said on his book that on the equinox, on the changes of season, markets do, tops or bottom. When I read that, I was like, all right, September 21st is coming. The equinox, the solstice, December 21st, June 21st. There's going to be a change in trend. But, I was ignorant. He was just kind of showing you, by the time he was studying and learning and studying the markets, that sometimes, those seasons do affect the market. But not all the time, because if it did all the time, we will all be billionaires. Because we'll all short it at the summer solstice, or buy it at the winter solstice, any of this change of seasons. And it's just, obvious. But that's not the case. He's just saying that's a possibility. I think he was just kind of like tweaking your ear to like dig deeper and look at other things. But, when you first learn in Gann and you read that kind of stuff, we're like little kids. We take it to heart, and we're like, and then it's a learning experience, because then you short the market, on June 21st, summer solstice, and the market continues going up. Some people get frustrated and be like, man, this crap doesn't work, and then just abandon it. But it's not the way it is. It's that you need to mature and use caution and use other stuff to indicate and help you determine if this thing is going to turn or not. So I just wanted to show that. And one thing, I wanted to show you also is that in regards to time cycles, and this is something maybe Gann never taught or didn't share, but this is something through the years I've been using his technique, I've come to realize that there is a connection. There's a connection in time cycles within day. When I mean day, I'm talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The day. Obviously, these are the times that the U.S. market is open, so I'm using those days. Or, Sunday, if you look at, the open of the Forex or whatever. But those are the days. There's cycles within those days itself. Monday, Tuesday. If a euro made a swing high on Tuesday, that's a cycle just by itself on Tuesday. You just got to keep an eye that maybe there could be another swing top high on Tuesday, or it could be a swing low on Tuesday. Then the next thing you have is the date. The actual date that the low is made, there's a cycle embedded in there. The date. November 6th of 2017, that's a cycle date in there. Time. What does time mean? The time that the euro or the GE made a top swing high or swing low. Euro made a high, I believe it was May 8th, January, February, March, April, May 8th of 20, maybe 14, 20, I can't remember right now the year. But there's a cycle there on the date and the time. And with software, you could backtrack and look for the actual time and then jog that down and use mathematical calculations to determine the cycles there. So you got day, date, time, and then the price. Euro made a high of $13.99 on that day, and then made a low. So the actual price that it made a swing high, GE made a high of July the 20th at 33. The uranium, URA, made a high on February the 15th of 1933. The price itself, there is a cycle in there. These are the things that Gann was studying. Then you have seasonality. What did the euro do in the fall season? What does the euro do in the summer? And compare that to all the years in the back. So you get seasonalities. And then there's the more esoteric, planetary, which Gann was involving in his analysis. What was the sky? When you looked up in the heavens, what were all the positions of the planets? That anything had to relate to the stock or currency that you're trading. Was there a planet that was, vibrating with the high in regards to time, in regards to price itself? Gann was looking at all this and was looking for a correlation. Geometry. He was using geometry when he was trading. And then the last is the esoteric. This is the most complex and most difficult and hard to teach. This is learned through the, like what the Freemasons learn and all that kind of stuff. He was a Freemason himself. This is kind of like the dark, secrets or whatever that the ancients learned and that they don't really share it. And it's really not on books. And if you find it on books, it's like a gem. Gann kind of used these kind of techniques, and he incorporated all this stuff together. But when he was teaching about times, he just gave you little nuggets. Yeah, a 10-year cycle, 7-year cycle. And he was just kind of hinting at different things here and there. But of what I've learned, this is kind of the concrete thing that he was using. And then, you want to add line, you could just say mathematics, obviously. The mathematics that everything is just, will relate. It's the law, mathematics, using math to determine. So he incorporated all that, and I put it under time cycles. But time cycles is not just, taking, this low here and just going like this, and I taught this on a video, and it goes like that. There's a lot that goes to, within these time cycles. So I think that's it for this video. I'm already went over my thing, but I just wanted to show you what I'm watching. Just keep an eye on the market. I'm watching the NASDAQ. I'm watching GE. I might have to do some analysis on, look at that. They're already selling off on the GE. On crude too. Crude is getting a nice little pop. Let's see, URA. And that one I'm waiting for my forecast date. And crude futures. Look at that. It's popping up. We made a low. We made that low here. Actually, we got to go way back. Time frame. Let's change that to... So in February, we made this low. Perfect example. Look at this. We made a low on 2/11 of 2016 of $26.05. And, it's been volatile. You can see back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, kind of finding a base at 42, holding it there, never reached 39. And now we kind of took out this double top right here of 54, and now we're at 55. Then we got the next resistance right here, like at 61. So chances are it could reach to 61, and then you got to see what's going to happen there. But as of right now, this looks like a nice little swing low. So as a Gannist, you will try to see what was the cause and effect, and then you will go through this whole list right here. The day, the date, the time it made it. I mean, the exact time. The last tick when that printed, that made it in time, if it was at 9:35, 10:40, 11:20 in the morning, 12:30 in the afternoon, that is valuable in regards to time cycles. Gann didn't have this option, and maybe he did. The price, look at the price. It made it 26.05 right there. There's a cycle in there just with the price. Seasonality, what happens with the crude around February? What goes on here? Look at all the Februaries going back and see if there's a correlation. Planetary, that's something you're going to have to research yourself. Geometric, using geometry. You could use the Gann grid. You see my videos on that. I'll probably put a link on this end of this video. Gann grid. How you could create the Gann grid and see within this current swing high and swing low where we at in regards to geometry. And then lastly, the esoteric, which you just have to, look for yourself. Books. A lot of the stuff Gann, covered in his, books and manuals that were in public. His drawings and all that. A lot of that stuff, Square of Nine, all that kind of stuff, a lot of that stuff is esoteric. That'll fall into this category. All right, hope this helped. I'll keep you posted. Wow, look at that. Euro. And hopefully maybe I can make a video tomorrow. And if not, probably be a while. But I guess when I come back and make my video, it'll be interesting to see if any of this stuff really, panned out.